Hey, what's up guys, my name is Azoh, and today I wanted to talk about the just play any conundrum. A little bit of backstory, I had a coaching session with a sub, and she posted the VOD and her experience with the sub, or with the coach on Summer School, and there was a comment there that said, let me bring it up here, play any, put your efforts into improving map awareness, CS, CD timings, etc. Notice how you're climbing, or play Z, focus on playing Z, notice how you're climbing, and wake up. It's a little bit edgy, but beside the point. This is of course referring to LS, Last Shadow, who's a very famous coach, who tells people to play any, because you play any, and you focus on basically everything else but playing any, because playing any is not very difficult. So there is kind of a, I'm moving my head too much, there is kind of an issue, because I don't think he's completely wrong when he's saying that. I think maybe you could have said it a little bit better, but it's not completely wrong saying that, but it's not completely right either. So let's break it down. First of all, why do people say just play Annie? As I said, Annie's a very easy champion. You don't have to focus on mechanics, because the only thing you really have to focus on is basically getting the stun and then doing a Tibbers in the team fights. Even if you fall behind, she's still a very reliable champion. She's not one of those like Yasuo's where if you fall behind, not really gonna do that much. But you can still, with Annie, you can still find men stun. There's still some things you can do, but you don't really have to focus on it. So that means you have time to focus on the map, you have time to focus on warding, you have time to focus on other lanes, like movements, where threatening zones are, like kind of thinking about when champions power spike. Basically you have time to think about everything else except the mechanics of the champion. Now this is true, that's just straight up true. However, and I believe Ella's original thought is that you don't have time to focus on the game at large when you're spending all of your time focusing on the champion you're trying to play, who's rather difficult. So say Zed, for example. Zed is kind of tricky to learn. He has kind of a high skill ceiling, or skill floor, and a high skill ceiling. But if you get to a certain point, he's still very reliable to the point where you can carry quite hard with him. But he might not be the most intuitive to new players or to inexperienced players. Now, I'm not saying he's super hard, and I'm not saying basically everyone watching this video right now, you can learn Zed. It's not impossible. I'm not a superhuman. Really, it's... if you spend time in it, you're gonna learn it. Especially if you want shortcuts, just watch the Zed school, but trust me, you can learn Zed. But might not be the easiest champion in the world. This is true. If you have someone who can actually play Annie and get by playing Annie, then yeah, this might be the best way to improve. The problem is that basically very, very, very few of us are ever gonna go pro. Now you might ask why that's relevant. Well, at some point, and I brought this up because I actually made a video like a year ago talking about should you play difficult champions. And I say yeah, play difficult champions. I don't care if you're bronze 5, play difficult champions, because at the end of the day, you're here to have fun. You might hit your end goal, you might get to a certain rank, but there's always going to be another rank. I'm called hardstack in no matter what elo I'm in. I've always been called hardstack. When I peaked, my absolute best elo, what was it, Master 351 LP. Like I said, I was never challenger. I was, at least on a solo queue, I was never challenger. I was not particularly good in that sense. But I was always called hardstack in every elo, in every season. And if you think that's gonna stop just because you hit in certain elo, just because you get good enough, hate to break it to you, but basically the higher up you go, the more you're gonna be flamed for not being higher up. And then when you get to high up, well, you only got there in the bad season. And I've heard this in Season 5. Season 5 is the worst season, Season 6 is the worst season, Season 7 is the worst season, Season 5 player, Season 6 player, Season 7 player. It's never gonna stop. So, my point is, play what's fun. Play what you enjoy. If you like playing Zed, I promise you, you can learn Zed. I'll help you learn Zed, okay? And even if you get to the point where you get good enough at Zed that you don't have to focus on Zed, then Zed is your Annie. You don't have to focus on the mechanics. You got into the skill floor, and you can focus on the rest of the game. And I don't want to sound like a salesman or whatever, but that's, I guess, where said school comes in, because you can go back, watch the specific combos, and when you get to the point, you will come to a point where you don't no longer need the videos. You can think on the fly, and you have those as a basis, and then you just do it yourself. But I think just playing Annie will bore a lot of people to the point where they won't want to play anymore. And at the end of the day, you have to ask, what do you want to do with League? If you basically just only 100% want to improve, you want to get to Diamond or Platinum or Gold or Silver, then yeah, there are optimal champions to pick. There are champions that you don't need to be particularly good at, you don't have to understand the game very well, you don't have to understand spikes, you don't have to understand any of that, you don't have to put pressure or anything like that. There are champions that fits that criteria. And yeah, maybe that's what you want to do, and maybe you just want to learn, because I think you can also teach someone to get better at the game, and as a result of that they climb, or you can teach someone to climb, because there are specific techniques for climbing. You can teach someone Master Yi just for climbing. You can teach someone a specific route in the jungle, specific ways to play the game, specific way to just pressure a build that's specifically around snowballing, and you can learn how to win the games. But you're not specifically better at the game. It's kind of hard to define skill in League of Legends in general, but in the end, I think my point is that we're here to have fun, to some extent. I know it sounds very childish, in a way, and it's kind of sad that it does, but I think you should reflect on why you're playing this game. And for me, it might not just be having fun anymore. For me, the competition is just the fun part. And I know you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say that League is shit, and this game's horrible, and all teams are terrible, and being Challenger is still horrible, and every fucking server is bad except Korea's. But I do still like the competition. I don't think I'm gonna hit high elo, but I still enjoy the game, surprisingly. After this many years, I've been playing 7 years the same game. That's kind of crazy when I reflect on it, but in the end, that's my take on it. You can play Annie, and that's a good way to improve, it really is. But if it's gonna make you quit the game, it's not a good way to improve. Then in that case, play a champion you like. Hell, I don't care if you're Bronze 5. If you want to learn Azoh, go for it. Now, expanding on this argument is that saying, well, you can first play Annie, and then learn everything else, and then you can start playing the champions you want to learn. That's fine too. Again, if you think you can get through the Annie part and learn all the other side effects, sure. I think a risk of the Annie effect is that you get so good at Annie that you just snowball, because Annie is a destructive champion. She completely obliterates games when she's ahead. One good Tibbers, AoE stun, AoE, I think it's an E, not the shield, the AoE flamethrower thing. You blow someone up with that. But I don't know. As I said, in the end, if it's gonna make you quit the game, not worth it. I'll help you learn that instead, okay? Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you all on Monday. It was very nice hosting you. And yeah, I'm gonna come back with more info about coaching, because I really want to do it. Seems like a lot of people wanted to get in on that, so yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you all Monday, and have a great weekend. Peace.